Welcome back to Up Close. We talk a lot about poverty these days, the income inequality gap, those without. Tonight, the story of one New Yorker, an up from the bootstraps kind of gal, bounced in foster care from one home to another, abused, but now giving back big time and helping feed thousands of people. Our guest this morning, Deborah Veazey, the new president and CEO of Community Food Bank of New Jersey. That's the state's largest anti-hunger and anti-poverty organization. Deborah, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You have, before we get into what you're doing, you have the most incredible backstory. and I know you run into people all the time who, when you tell them your backstory, you do it not to brag, but to motivate them.
Right.
You were a foster kid. I said you were abused. What's your short story? Because it's quite inspirational.
Well, I entered foster care at birth. And basically, at the age of 12, went into a group home situation. So I was in traditional homes up until 12, and then went into a group home until I exited out of the foster care system. So I really got to see it full circle. You know, I think there were some wonderful people along the way, but I think that anyone can clearly imagine the kind of life that I had. Arduous journey at best, difficult, painful, hard, probably the longest marathon of my life in some ways. And I think that along the way, I met some wonderful, capable adults who gave me a helping hand and not a handout, and taught me the value of education. And
you went to school?
I did.
Where'd you go?
I did. I went to Cathedral here in New York City, and then went off to Buffalo at the urging and suggestion of a teacher in my high school who was an alumni to the school that I had attended. So, and then afterwards went to Rutgers for my master's in social work. So, you know, really went the whole journey. But it was because of the career of social work that I gravitated towards a very important career, in my opinion, because I had wonderful social workers that helped me along the way. And I remember as a very young girl thinking, that's what I want to do.
Those people in the social work industry,
right,
and it is an industry, not-profit industry, but an industry, would say, I'll take the other side, would say, well, you know, Deb, this is exactly, you're the poster child for what can go right in the foster care, foster child, foster home world.
Well, I think that there are, I mean, you know, this is, you know, I'm in my 50s, so certainly it was a very different time. I think there's some wonderful things happening both by, you know, Governor Cuomo and Governor Christie. But during the time of my upbringing, it was very, very different. And unfortunately, I was in a foster home that was very abusive. And it was a very difficult journey and something that scarred me to this day. You know, physical abuse, sexual abuse, the whole gamut of what you read in the papers and what life was like. Hard. But
you overcame it thanks to these other people who came into your life.
Yeah.
And now you tell that story to other people who might find themselves in tough situations like you were in, being abused, or being lonely, or just being lost, and hopefully you help them find their way.
Well, I think what's interesting about the story is I never thought at the time that it would be useful. You know, it certainly doesn't feel like it would be, but it has been.
Because you've made it that way.
Yeah, well, I think it's been a great message to give to kids that are in foster care. Excuse me. And also I think it has been a credible message for people who are hungry. I was one of those children in shelters. I was one of those kids on the pantry line. So I get to say a message or live a message that not only translates in my words, but in my actions.
So let's talk about this new job you have. The largest food bank, anti-hunger organization in the state of New Jersey. What do you do? How many people do you serve? 1 out of 5 kids in New Jersey are hungry every night?
Right. I mean, last year we gave out 44 million pounds of food, which is just incredible, even hard to fathom. I think that when we think of hunger, we think of some overseas problem that isn't in our local community. And I think that there's some perception that these are folks that are not working or perhaps on some sort of a welfare role. And that is quite the contrary to what we're seeing. We're seeing families who are having difficulty making ends meet, making choices between, you know, carving into their budget for food or sending their child to the doctor and paying a copay. So that's the reality of what we're seeing. And I, like those children, had very difficult times accessing food And the best way that we can do that is around schools and other places.
So all these issues that plague society
Right.
are all connected to this, right? You heard us talking about the smoking right before the segment before, the expensive nature of cigarettes, and poor people buy those cigarettes foregoing some other expense like maybe food.
Right.
The minimum wage debate affects the
That's
issues you're
correct.
talking about. It all comes together.
It does.
And food is the manifestation of it.
It is, and you know, hunger is not just a social issue, it's a health issue. And it's certainly something that we're seeing with kids all the time. I can tell you from my own experience, going to school hungry and what that feels like, not being able to concentrate, you know, my stomach hurting. All those kinds of things are realities still to this day for, you know, 400,000 kids in New Jersey and 15 million kids throughout the United States. This is a real problem, and it's something that I think people rally around particular times of the year. But hunger is a 365-day-a-year problem, and it's particularly heightened in summer months because kids are not in school and they're not eating. For seniors, it's certainly a sensitive time, but obviously it's something that we think doesn't happen here. But if 1 in 5 children are hungry, that means that somebody on your street is suffering.
You are the president and CEO of this organization.
I am.
Not the social worker of the organization. So how much actual hands-on stuff do you still do? Because I know you have a big heart. But how much of that do you still do? How much are you just being an administrator?
Well, I mean, certainly I lead this very large charity, but there's not a day that goes by that I'm not walking through the warehouse, seeing how things are going, helping the volunteers. We had 40,000 volunteers walk through our door last year. And if I'm not showing the folks that are coming to volunteer, or the kids that need to hear my message, that what I'm actually doing to help them, then it really is like words without action. You know, that doesn't really mean a lot. So, you know, social work isn't just a job. This is a lifestyle. It's a vocation. It's what I do. It's what I am. And so, you know, packing a bag is just as important as paying attention to the budget.
And your tough childhood prepared you for this.
I think it did. I think you're right. I think it gave me a lot of perseverance and a lot of will to survive.
Deborah, good luck in your new job.
Oh, thank you
You're
so
doing
much.
Good work. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Helping
good to be
people
here.
not be hungry anymore. Thank you, Deborah.
Thanks.
When we come back, talk about All in the Family. We're going to talk with the Chapin family, all of them, with the exception of the one who was always with them only in their hearts, Harry Chapin. The family that sings together, stays together, as you're about to find out.